good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar hosted by DI2X and Digitopia. My name is Nilüfer, and I'm leading the sustainability business line here at Digitopia. I have a background in finance, 25 years to be precise, covering roles in investment and asset management. However, the last quartile of this whole experience is marked with the digital and sustainability transformation efforts in organizations. So I don't know the backgrounds of all the attendees, obviously, but many of you might agree with me when I say through our work, we also transform ourselves. So I really feel lucky to be able to find that purpose finally after so many years of business as usual. Of course, many thanks for taking the time to come and listen to us together with our partner, DI2X, and Pernille, I think, is here together with Anya. I had the privilege and chance to listen to Pernille's presentation on Tuesday. Maybe some of you were there as well, and it was very impressive, I must say. So I hope I can keep that level that high today as well. So today in this webinar, we aim to cover issues around sustainability, how it should be treated as a transformation of business evolution. Let me walk you through the agenda of today. Again, many of you most probably heard the company name Digitopia and what we are doing. So I would like to give a brief description of our normal, facilities and what we do in that space. And then I would like to make a clear difference between the ESG and the sustainability approach to get us all on the same page. And then I would walk you through the whole architectural framework of the Sustainability Maturity Index that we designed here at Digitopia. Afterwards, I would love to show you some visuals from the reporting dashboards and the execution framework. But most importantly, I think today is about also sharing with you a real example, a case that we have recently measured, digital loyalty program, a digital business. And I really cherry-picked that specifically because we are talking about intersection between the digital and the sustainable transformation. So I think it's important to see how digital businesses also are dealing with this agenda. And if we have time, I would also love to take you to the real live version of our product, the Business Impact Platform, the demo. Hopefully I can take you there as well. Quite a little, quite stuff, I know, but I will be very quick and I will be very brief, I promise. So, yes, obviously the world is in flux and there are so many complexities, so many factors that we have to deal in parallel with while, managing our own operations, whatever we do in our businesses. And business is at the center of the global sustainability transition. No solution to the climate, the ecological and the inequality crisis today is possible without the business action. We all know that. At the same time, the role, the contribution and the impact of the business in society is under growing scrutiny. So current approaches to business excellence and leadership fail to provide companies with the tools and the mechanisms to respond. As a result, even ambitious organizations that seek to lead progress are unclear how best to deliver effective solutions across markets and especially across their supply chains. So there is an urgent need to address this challenge. Over the next decade, companies that will need to align their purpose, strategy, and ambition with long-term value creation for society and also to motivate their people and thrive commercially as a sustainable business. To achieve this, companies will have to adopt transformational practices and organizational innovations and capabilities, which Pernille has talked about, on the first webinar this week on Tuesday. So organizations have to implement ambitious strategies and programs for change, establish sustainable solutions, and create momentum at scale. So this is such an ambitious and complicated agenda. For that, we need to first locate ourselves on a map, literally. So because if we don't know where we stand as an organization, we won't figure out the right direction. So Digitopia, in plain and simple words, drives business impact, aims to drive business impact through two powerful tools. the Digital Maturity Index and the Sustainability Maturity Index. The Digital Maturity Index is actually our flagship product, and we built the Sustainability Maturity Index on top of that framework, on top of that architecture, let's say, which is a SaaS platform, which I will talk about later. We covered the whole sustainability issues and the content also with the ESG perspective, and we built a maturity assessment, basically. And why is that important? Again, as some of you may have, attended the first webinar, because Pernilla again explained beautifully there that digital transformation spans beyond, opening channels for customers, digitizing a set of processes, working remotely, or running IT committees. It requires rethinking the organization's value proposition and moving towards it with a holistic view. So we believe we need to approach the sustainability transformation in that similar manner, because it is also more than just complying, reporting, and also more than corporate social responsibility. It demands the same growth and the same open mindset. So having said that, this is the basic, components of our business impact platform here at Digitopia. So obviously we have a methodology, we put this methodology in a SaaS platform, and especially on the DMI side, the Digital Maturity Index side, we have been measuring so many hundreds of companies up until now for the last 4 years. We have gathered a pile of qualified data so that our clients can benchmark themselves within their industries. And also, we don't only assess we don't only give scoring, we also create a roadmap. We leverage the unique combination of this methodology, the platform, and the data and expertise to build a tailored, actionable, and impactful initiative list, which I will be able to show you again through the end of this webinar presentation, through the real case that I would love to show you. So again, a couple of words only about Digitopia. So Digitopia is unbiased and truly objective. What does that mean? You might come across with so many, free maturity assessment models or questionnaires if you search for it, because especially the classical consultancy companies, they use such maturity assessments to actually justify the service and the products, whatever they want to do with their clients. They use this as a simple opening gate for them. Especially technology companies do that also, very normal, it's their business model. But we claim, and it's like that, since we don't have any commercial downstream agenda, we are unbiased, we are truly objective, and I think from the perspective of an organization that really matters. And our assessments are through we call it the moderated self-assessment. Why? Because as again, in the scoring, in the assessment space, it's very possible to overshoot or to undershoot. That what I mean by that is, there would be bias, in the answers, in the scoring. So in order to mitigate or eliminate that, there's always a senior consultant in the workshops to make sure that we are giving the right score. We also educate the attendees through best practices and global best practices so that they are able to assess where they are on a true manner. And we say we are a continuous companion because we don't leave you with just a report. After that, we deliver the report. We don't do execution after the report. We don't really work on the field with you, on the execution side. But quarterly, we can come and monitor you where you're on your journey, on your roadmap. We can do that. That's why we call it an annual service. Those are the companies that we have served. We have, measured on the digital maturity side so many companies. SMI is a relatively new business for us. So those companies are not the ones that we measured the, sustainability. But since they are, also international companies, I wanted to show you the coverage of the Digitopia in a nutshell. And those are the countries that we have served up until now. Our development team is in Turkey, but we are headquartered in UK, and we have some representative office in US and also Dubai as well. So much so far for Digitopia. I just wanted to give you in a nutshell what we are doing so that you can grasp the whole, value proposition of our company. Yes. You might remember the agenda. The next step is to clarify the ESG and the sustainability approach. Why we think it's very important? Because until recently, companies were challenged and more on the ESG front. But today, the ESG only approach is perceived as not fully covering the whole sustainability the whole transformation spirit of sustainability movement. You might know that ESG, the approach of ESG is actually emerged from the banking, the finance sector, because investors as well as consumers were looking to find a way to justify whether their investments are really on the right track, whether those companies are really measuring their risks in terms of environment, social, and governance factors. So the basic difference is ESG looks at how the world impacts a company or investment, but sustainability focuses on how a company impacts the world. So we call it actually the double materiality, and I'm going to show it to you on the next slide. But it is very important because we need a much intense and broader approach in order to solve the systemic problems of the world and readjust our resources and our wealth allocation, our asset allocation to a more just and equitable level. So in this session, Digitopia, we will talk about the sustainability maturity assessment tool and how we aim to link the whole sustainability journey with the economic and social transformation agenda of the world, giving kind of like an eagle's eye view for companies to build their own ecosystems and collaborate more for SDG matters. Basically, this is called double materiality, and it is really important to cover both sustainability and the ESG in a framework in order to measure the both perspectives. So in order to be able to measure and manage our risks, but in the meantime, also be able to grasp and understand, acknowledge if there are any opportunities for us in this new space. So, reporting and ratings. I just jumped into that because, again, it's very, very much linked to the difference between ESG and sustainability. You must be hearing so many words, the impact, the shareholder paradigms, the systems thinking approach, impact investment. There are so many concepts at the moment, but it will take some time, I think, for us to understand that those things will change the way we do business and we affect our stakeholders, right? But up until now, companies seem to be more, interested in showing themselves in ratings just to, just for PR and for some, brand reputation purposes. So they are, of course, not bad, but they might lead you to a place where, some greenwashing risks might appear. So it's really, really crucial for companies to understand that this is a journey and you need to first, decide on your initiatives and decide on your focus areas before you embark on that journey. Most of you most probably is following the agenda of COP27. I think a couple of days are left and it will be ending this week. There were very intense conversations and gatherings, and actually, as long as I understand, there are some very good developments also coming from the COP, because this COP was all about the money that is being promised to emerging developing countries which are vulnerable to climate by the developed countries, and I think they have agreed on some level to unleash that at least funds for those vulnerable countries, and that's a very good development. But this we cannot go and talk about COP27. It will take so many hours. But I want to share with you a quotation from Al Gore from the opening speech of COP27, because I really very much liked it, and it gives the real, it gives very clear perspective. He said, "We are now in the early stages of a sustainability revolution that has the magnitude of the industrial revolution and the speed of the digital revolution." I think for that kind of magnitude, organizations really need to rethink everything. So how can sustainability maturity index be a solution, or maybe, I don't know, an enabler or a light, whatever you call it? How can we solve this dynamic approach of trying to grow, maybe even with an optimum level, in a space where degrowth is still in a global agenda where degrowth is could be an option maybe in the future for us, but organizations are not there yet. So organizations are still trying to manage between sustainability, inclusivity, and also try to maintain the growth aspirations of their company. So it's a very, very hard balance. For that, the sustainability, this is actually the simple let's say framework, the simple architecture of the Sustainability Maturity Index. We have 6 pillars, 6 dimensions, as you can see from the slide. We have capacity, ambition, governance, operations, culture, and engagement. So I will stop here so that you can have a more detailed look on that structure and how you feel about it. How does it relate to the the standard approaches that you have been reading? I don't know, but you might realize that, for example, governance is pretty obvious. It's when you think about the ESG space, it's really directly the G of the ESG, obviously. But for example, the society dimension of the ESG under our architecture falls under engagement, because under engagement dimension, we try to cover all of our partnerships, all of our engagements with our stakeholders. Society is one of them, but we also search for, our capacity to do business with, let's say, social business, social entrepreneurs. This is also very important. It can unlock the business model innovation. Operations obviously is more about the E part of ESG. So in a nutshell, Sustainability Maturity Index combines ESG and sustainability approaches to supercharge the corporate transformation efforts. So in order to unlock the potential of our resources, mostly our workforce, we need to know where we stand as an organization. Most importantly, as a team. In those dimensions are also like workshops. Remember the self-moderated assessment that I talked about a couple of slides ago. So we actually facilitate 6 different workshops based on those dimensions, and we invite all of the, let's say, representatives of all business lines in an organization, so that everyone can understand the whole agenda and everyone understands where they stand. That creates a baseline for them. And I think it's very important to be able to create that baseline for companies. I would like to also stop here to make a note about business model innovation, because while we're designing this framework, we also really thought this should be something that can link an organization's capacity to innovate its business model, because that's where the hurdle comes. That's where it really gets very complicated. It's really easy to make reporting or, keeping up with some metrics, but when it comes to business model innovation, it's very hard. Why? Because recent research and practice shows that the business model innovation very important way to create and capture new value, which is very important for organizations, and drive production and consumption towards sustainability. The problem is that the business models typically today do not create a space to consider how sustainability concerns may be integrated into the innovation process. That is why it is really, organizations are really trying hard to link the sustainability agenda with their innovation. In addition to that, a typical approach of a company or an organization is only to follow the ESG space for some, risk management purposes. So this might have been enough until the beginning of the 21st century, but today it's not. Today we need to find or create new ways to close the gaps in value creation and distribution, and SMI tries to address this gap by offering a SaaS tool, which I will show you, that can help companies identify new opportunities to create and capture value through sustainability. This is called business model innovation, and now we hope SMI will be able to unlock that potential. So very much like Purnell's DI2X methodology, we have 5 levers. We have 5 scales, and so you might again remember in Purnell's presentation, if you are at generation 3, like if you're at stage 3, that means somehow the real transformation is starting for you. But if you're around 1, 2, 2.5, that means you're still, trying to do your things as usual. You're trying to protect only the value that you're creating. There is nothing very transformational about things you do. But after 3, it really makes a difference, and the same with us. So you can see from here up until now, the SMI, what I shared with you is the content of the SMI is about creating a baseline, which then translates itself into some initiatives, which we call the opportunities, and then it translates into a roadmap, which if you can create or transform into actions, then you can have an impact. Then you have to measure your impact. It will be a transformational cycle. Then you have to iterate this for the future as well. This is the way we see, this is the scale we operate in Sustainability Maturity Index. Those are the levels. We call it the beginner, the traditional, responsible, sustainable, and impact-driven. Responsible stage is a very good stage. So if you're at 3, that means you're actually having you're having a good team in your organization. You are able to link the different perspectives of sustainability. You're not just complying with standards. You know that at one point you have to do something about the inclusive business challenge, so on and so forth. So, and sustainable is even better, because in that level you're actually very open to cooperate with not only with your peers, even with your competitors in matters of social distress problems. If you're impact driven, most probably you're like you're really deploying all your profits and everything to the systematic solutions of our major problems like the climate. So I hope I am in time. Let me check. Maybe I have to. Yes, okay. So in order to move up in that ladder, companies are going to be needing many professional services. Most of them don't have the necessary teams or the workforce to cover all those capabilities. In that slide, you can see on the right the capabilities I listed. So there are many things that an organization would be needing in the future. And on the left, you can see the services, the sustainability domain service. So Digitopia's SMI, Digitopia's methodology is all about the pink one, the strategy and the business transformation. So we are not really operating in any other domain, in any other service line. Again, in a nutshell, what we do, as I explained before, is that we covered all the international standards content. We mapped it to the six-dimensional approach we created here at Digitopia. And we also looked all the services in the sustainability domain. But we say that this is the approach that we created is comprehensive and conclusive, because I like the way, again, DI2X put it in their website. We wanted to create a common language that companies could understand, because that was my pain when I was in this corporate world. I know very much that they need to have another framework that translates this into opportunities and also this business model innovation phenomena, let's say. So to sum it up, what is SMI trying to solve is the generic sustainability initiatives that are ill-fit for the current state of a company. We are trying to build a better one for that, because after the scoring, the initiatives are actually derived from the real insights that all those employees have shared within the workshops. SMI is trying to solve the issues resulting from the isolated top-down decision-making processes. And also SMI is trying to solve the problem of stakeholders not owning the transformation efforts. There are actually 4 tangible benefits, but the last one is more important. So it deserved a solo slide. I'm going to show it to you. Those are assurance. The first 3 tangible benefits is assurance, alignment, and acceleration. So what do I mean by assurance? Is assurance, through such an assessment, you can build an internal tracking platform, a model, and a roadmap that will ensure you're on track with your sustainability strategy, right? And alignment, obviously, I told you that in the workshops, especially the mid-seniors, manager level people are aligned for a holistic one roadmap, and they understand each other's challenges and problems. This is alignment. And acceleration is obviously when you translate your efforts into performance on a SaaS platform, you can always go and look at your progress and monitor and align your executives and mid-senior managers as well. This gives you speed, this gives you agility. That's how you accelerate your transformation. The 4th one that I told you that which deserved a solo slide is vitality. And I really like this slide because again, it gives a very clear perspective on how an organization should be playing its, playing in the field of business performance. There are some factors that an organization are kind of like organizations, foundational capabilities, kind of like the defense system. So we think the capacity, the governance, and the culture dimensions in our SMI methodology are like the sustainability endurance, right? But in order to move forward, in order to change, in order to be able to create this business model innovation, you also need, some spark, right? An ambition, a leadership, drive for that. And you need to be very, digital and data savvy in your operations. You need to be able to read your data and translate it into efficiency in the climate matters, especially. And you really, really should be very good at collaborating. You should be very good at engaging with your partners. This is the last 3 parts, the ambition, operations, and engagement. We call it the sustainability velocity. Yes, let me have one sip of water. From now on, I hope I didn't bore you. From now on, I will show you some dashboards and visuals from our reportings. And I will also try to show you a real case from our execution. This is we are actually a diagnostic company, right? We call ourselves like an X-ray company. We just wanted to take your picture But it's not as simple as that, and you're going to see how detailed the report can be after this X-ray, attempt. So SMI gives you a scorecard in 6 dimensions, and in every workshop, we also ask our attendees whether they want to see themselves in 2 years of time. So we have the target states as well. That's how we actually place the initiatives, which you're going to see in the next slide. So when you see this visual, maybe this is more about assurance, right? This is how, because I talked about assurance a couple of minutes ago, it's about, staying on target, knowing where you are. So this is more about that. This is after that, after asking you where you want to be in 2 years of time, we have a gap, right? Because let's say you're 2 out of 5 or 2.2 out of 5, but you want to go to 2.8 in 2 years of time. So that gives us, a gap of 0.6, where we need to fill it with some initiatives so that you can be at 2.8 in 2 years of time. We work on that initiative list after the insights and after the scorings that you shared with us. And we put it on a 2-dimensional scale like this. And the x-axis is urgency, the y-axis is importance. So that you can see what are the quick wins, which initiative you should start. And the sizes of the bubbles are like, some of the initiatives require some real capex, some real financial investment from you. Some of the initiatives even don't require any capex, but some opex maybe. So the size of the bubbles are, so if you choose, the capacity one, the biggest one, one of the biggest bubbles, it means it's important, it's averagely urgent, but also it might require some capex from you. So we, in this kind of like presenting like this, we try to clarify the complexity, because initiative prioritize here according to urgency and importance will be put in a roadmap, which I'm going to show you now. So after we decide on the initiatives, like let's say 10 initiatives you have, which will take you from 2.2 to 2.8 in 2 years of time, then we put this in a roadmap, okay? And this is what I call the acceleration part, because by the way, all this process takes only maximum 1 month. Starting from the workshops until the delivery of the report, it takes maximum 1 month. So, and after this 1 month, you will be able to see all those initiatives in a 2 years of time. Then that might also become your KPIs, right? This might also become an impact model for you if you really accept this as your impact model. Going forward for the sustainability transformation. And this is the vitality, I think, because this is a SaaS platform. So anytime you can log into your client dashboard, you can even some of our clients wants to leverage this product or service on behalf of their supply chain or on behalf of their business partners. So this is also possible. In one big business impact platform, you will be able to access to all your reports, all your underlying data. This is the vitality. This is how you have the eagle's eye perspective on your sustainability transformation. Again, just last 3 slides. So I know this, they are very small. Even I cannot really read from here properly, but I will try to walk you through. So this is a real report, right? And this is, we have assessed a digital loyalty platform recently. The reason why I wanted to share it with you is because it doesn't matter. By the way, SMI is an industry agnostic tool, right? we have a master model, but depending on the industry, depending on the business model, we can fine tune with the model, and we can always, because it's a SaaS platform, we can always edit the versions and put it in the platform. It's very easy, and it should be done like that. By the way, it should be tailored a little bit depending on the industry. Anyway, so this example, for example, I don't know if you can read, but one of the initiatives is called Lean Data Practices. Okay, because in this case, while we were assessing the capacity dimension with this company, obviously we were talking about the technology and how they leverage the data, because they were very, happy about themselves. They were like, hey, we are a data savvy company. We are very good at technology because that's what we do, and blah, blah. But in the end, everyone in the workshop realized that they don't care about the absolute data, the obsolete data. That means garbage data, and this is not acceptable in terms of sustainability. Being a digital business doesn't mean that you're not contributing, you're not, doesn't mean that you don't have any carbon emissions. You also generate carbon emissions, and there's serious carbon emissions from data storage as well. So they realize that they have to work on their data governance, data models, data, they have to switch to lean data practices. So for them, it was a little bit shocking because they think they were very good at that, but in terms of sustainability, when you think about it, they have to do more things on that side, and that requires a capex, a opex, an effort of 3 hours. Maybe you can see, but it requires an effort, and it in the end it will have a contribution to a dimension of 0.30 as a figure. Apart from that, maybe I can skip from there. So this is how we really put all the initiatives in a roadmap. Again, for that specific case, that company didn't have a sustainability department or a senior people who really understand the whole strategic aspect of that problem. So we recommended them to build, at least in the first phase, project kind of like a sustainability steering committee. But this should be done first, because all the other projects and initiatives will be driven by this new committee. So we put this as an initiative. It's a very maybe simple, a generic initiative, but it was very important for them because they didn't have a team in the first place. What else? So one of the other things we realized in the workshop is that they are doing some initiatives or some projects which are closely related with sustainability, like the buy now, pay later. Maybe in Europe there are some applications of that as well, and those kind of services directly speak to the inclusive business challenge, because some people don't have the financial resources to buy a necessity, and if you're offering such a service, that means you're actually helping the base of the pyramid, and it is a sustainability matter. So we explained them that there are some things that they are really doing right, but they didn't put it under the category of the sustainability. So that means they need more training, more education on that side as well. So there are many initiatives here, which maybe I shouldn't go in detail, but just one more slide. So if we give an initiative, if we recommend something, then like the lean data practices, we also prepared like a one-pager explaining why this is important in terms of sustainability, the scope, and the steps. Again, the urgency, the importance, the capex, how many man hours or how many human effort should be allocated for the initiative, and the expected duration of that initiative. So in that case, this lean data practices in our methodology fall into the dimension of capacity, subtopic technology, and the component data management. So this is an example. I think I just finished my presentation because maybe there are some questions, or maybe we can have an open discussion. I don't know, but I would like to give space for some questions, if any. But to wrap up, the methodology that I just tried to explain you today is designed to discuss questions such as how can businesses adopt an inclusive mentality to sustainability transition? How should companies embark on a transformational journey with the motivation of doing good beyond just simple survival? How can they create a culture, operation, economic model that aims for a higher goal than just profitability? For us, one of the key factors of success is an integrated sustainability approach based on collaboration across all levels in line with the business strategy. The journey of sustainable development is not an easy one. It necessitates endurance, courage, transparency, humility, a holistic approach, and the engagement of all stakeholders. And Digitopia Sustainable Maturity Index offers an innovative digital tool measurement framework to bring clarity for your sustainability agenda, hopefully, within the boundaries of your own unique organizational capacity. I'm gonna stop sharing here, and I would love to, I would love Pernille, if she is here, maybe, I don't know, because I've seen many similarities between her methodology of organizational capabilities and, you know, our assessment scalability. Maybe she has a few words or any comments. I would love to hear that, and then we can open to other questions.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for an interesting presentation. And I have actually one question. Maybe it's not, and I have a comment regarding my own frameworks as I presented on the webinar Tuesday. How do you see, or do you see any links between that? I'm also working with 5 steps and you have 5 steps. Do you think that they are the same, or have you made any consideration if those 2 frameworks actually fit together or not?
Well, while listening to you on Tuesday, you mentioned that, you know, when you're designing your levels, the generations 1, 2, 3, 5, you said transformation starts after 3, because and you clearly set the difference between digitizing and the transformational side of it. So the same with the SMI. So when we are designing the product, we thought, you know, 1 and 2 is more about, you know, traditional businesses just trying to comply, or just trying to be, you know, looking good in terms of their reporting. And but after 3, for us also, the real transformation starts. After 3, we expect a company to be able to generate an inclusive business model apart from the existing model. So that requires business model innovation. So in that sense, I think there's a similarity.
And you, of course, also, all of you are out there, you're welcome to ask questions or send some questions in the chat and comments. And so if I was a company, I know some of the people who's participating today, who's practitioners, saying that, okay, this sounds interesting. This is actually a good approach for our company to set the sustainability agenda, so to speak, so that we have a common language, we have a way to go, we have actions plans, and so on and so forth. So how do you start working with your software? I know the answer to this question, but I'm not sure that the participants will know the answers. So I'm asking on behalf of them.
So, okay. So the exact question is, how does this software, this digital platform, why they wanted to measure themselves, right?
No, how should I start? You know, it seems to be an interesting process. So what do? I'm sitting in a company, you know, whatever. Public, but I think that this sounds interesting, and I know that it's a year project, so to speak, that you have these different workshops and you have a piece of software and so on. But how do I actually start?
Starting actually is assessing the maturity, wearing.
Can I do it myself, or do I need you, or do I?
I mean, if you require such a professional service kind of like the SMI, you know, where you can summon, you know, your colleagues on a workshop or on an online, you know, meeting like that, where you can talk about the business strategy of your organization specifically and try to assess your whereabouts on this, you know, journey. It's priceless, because normally people don't come together in companies and talk about those kind of things, right? Because and they don't give insights to each other. But when you do something like that with an independent assessor, obviously you have to, you know, share all those insights in your roles and functions. Then those insights become initiatives for you. But it's really hard for you to do it internally, because there are some barriers in companies, you know, cultural barriers, I don't know, but, you know, managerial problems. So if you can work with an independent enabler, let's say, like yourselves, or like, you know, Digitopia, then it accelerates everything. Then in a month you're delivered with a report, and you might follow the roadmap and you might follow the initiatives that you have decided on your workshops.
But you definitely have something to focus on. That, so it's not just sustainability like we are working, yes, but we're actually working with something concrete.
Exactly. That's why, for example, remember the example I gave you, it was about, the initiative is called data lean management, right? So when you read it, it doesn't sound like sustainability, because it's called data lean practices, but it has relevance, because if you can switch your data governance model to a more leaner practice, that means you don't have to hold garbage data anymore. That means lower carbon emissions for you because of less storage. So then you start thinking about, hey, so it makes sense. There is a relevance between data governance and sustainability. And it is very crucial to make those links together. I think that's the value added.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are questions. I am checking.
Yeah, to raise your hands. There's none. So, and I will say that if you, as your Danish people who's out there, if you're interested in hearing more about that, you can start reaching out to us, and we will be happy to make you in contact with the Digitopia.
Yes, and thank you very much, Pernille, for you know.
Thank you.
Yes, for this initiative, for inviting us. I know we are co-partners, but thank you very much.
Well, thank you also.
Yeah.
And I look forward to meeting you next time you have a partner conference.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. So, and goodbye to all of you who has been out listening, and have a great day.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
Bye-bye.